Is the Aventador hackable? One of the biggest questions I get here at Exotic Car Hacks, and I am excited to be talking to you today about my full hack on this exact Aventador Roadster. Now, one of the things you'll actually notice is that I kind of shared with you previously on YouTube the power of the Aventador in terms of the car itself, why this particular Aventador was the only Aventador I would have ever hacked, and today marks the final day that this Aventador is in my possession, which is why we're going to do a recap video and talk a little bit about how the hack went, what worked, what didn't, and what you should be careful of if buying an Aventador yourself. So let's start at the very top. First off, for those of you that didn't watch the previous video, why did I decide to buy this particular Aventador? As I have previously said time and time again that the Aventador is one of the biggest piece of crap cars on the planet. Now, I will tell you a couple of things. As a driver's car, the Aventador fails in just about every category. But as a stunt car, meaning as a, hey guys, I want you to notice I'm here car, there's pretty much no better car under $1 million. It's one of the best looking and most dramatic cars on the road in terms of width, size, excitement, and everything that comes with it. That's why we call it a stunt car. Usually, very rarely, someone will buy an Aventador from a driver standpoint, but rather will drive an Aventador from kind of a status standpoint, which is why so many people have always kind of looked at the V12 Lambo as more of a casual driver than a daily driver. I should note that doors going up are exciting, but in the era of Aventadors and Murcielagos, they were more exciting than they are now when you have BMW i8s, McLarens, and just about every car under 150K available that does have doors that go up. And so now the Aventador has lost its just doors go up appeal because there are McLarens on the road that are significantly cheaper and much better driver's cars. However, in design, it is still second to none. And I think even with this older mid-generation 15 Roadster, there's still a lot of impressive design to it that is just worth looking at if you're looking for a great stunt car. Now, this was a 2015 Aventador Roadster with a 500K sticker and $130,000 in Novitec upgrades. The first thing we should understand is why this particular Aventador. So first off, if you're going to be buying an Aventador, remember that the 12 was the first release of the Aventador and filled with problems all the way to 13. 14 is the best kind of first gen year if you're on a budget, but really 15 is ultimately the absolute best Roadster from a bargain / quality standpoint you can buy. There are several upgrades to the 15 that are simply outstanding compared to the 14 and down and are worth it as an upgrade. Actually, in fact, from a resale standpoint, if you look up on the internet, there's significantly less 15s for sale than there are 14s and below. Partly because, again, the 15 is such a trouble-free car compared to the 14 and below that less people are dumping them and less people are dumping them cheap. That said, there's such a unique opportunity to jump into 2015, both in a coupe and roadster, but I will tell you from a resale standpoint that there is a lot less roadsters for sale than coupes. So if you're going to be buying an earlier generation, regardless that it's a first gen or second gen Aventador, try to be buying a roadster because you're just going to have a lot less competition when trying to sell your car. And so roadsters typically not only bring more money in because they're convertibles, but they also bring a better percentage, meaning less money off of MSRP. So if you got a great deal, it's more likely that you're going to sell without losing a ton, and in many cases actually breaking even, if not more, on roadsters more so than coupes. So that's an important combination that you kind of have to understand, that I wanted to make sure that you guys understood why this particular one. When I acquired this car, it had roughly about 6,000 miles, and I paid a little bit north of $320,000 plus fees for this car with 6,000 miles. It had a perfect service history, $130,000 in Novitec upgrades, including all the carbon fiber inside out, and also the carbon engine bay, the diffuser. Every piece you see on the front is carbon, every piece on the rear is carbon. It has exhaust, there's coilovers, and so on and so forth. So an incredible car all around and just optimized to perfection. Plus it shoots flames, so that made it an extra plus, right? Now, one of the things that I think I wanted to say in general about hacking one of these Aventadors is you need to be buying a car with mid-level miles. And what I mean by that is typically if things are needed with these cars in terms of maintenance or anything else, they typically occur around 15,000 miles. And so one of the things I usually say is between 0 to 5, you're pretty safe, but you're buying collector-grade cars, so when you sell them, they're no longer collector-grade cars. So the best kind of angle if you're going to be buying an Aventador is to buy it by 5, sell it before 10, or buy it by 10, sell it before 15. And this takes us to how many mileage did I put on this car. So I drove this car for about 4 to 4,500 miles since acquisition, which is in about 7 months, which is a lot. I've put 4,500 miles on the car. Now, typically, remember, Aventador mileage is less than 2,000 miles per year. This is what Lamborghini wants you to drive from a lease standpoint. This is also what the typical average mileage found on a used car is calculated by. So I've put a lot of miles on this car compared to other exotics that I would have owned, and partly because I enjoy driving and partly because I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And so 4,000 miles later, how much money did I lose? Well, the car sold for $320,000 even, which means that my cost of ownership on the car alone was a little bit under $1,000. $1,000 for a duration of 7 months. Now, one of the powers behind that is that we need to first understand the fact that when we're talking about cost of ownership, we're talking about the cost in and the cost out. Now, we're also talking about the cost of maintenance and the cost of any particular issues that have arose with the car, such as repairs, and then we are not factoring in insurance, because insurance on this exact car, using the Exotic Car Hacks principle with the link in the bio for those of you that don't know what Exotic Car Hacks is, has cost me less than $1,100 for a year, which means it roughly adds up to about $600 or so every 6 months in insurance, which comes down to about $100 a month. Now, this is with me having a perfect driving record. This is also with me not having had any issues or accidents or anything else. And it's also with me having had previously exotic cars and having a discount for also having a home under the same insurance policy. So for those of you that don't know how this works, however, it does account for the fact that this is insured in Florida, which is one of the more expensive states to insure an actual car in. So you should kind of understand these basic guidelines. But using the principles I teach at Exotic Car Hacks, I still think that $100 a month for insurance on what was once almost a $700,000 Aventador is pretty good in my opinion. Now, in addition to that, now let's take a look at the basics for how the car ultimately was bought and how the car was sold. The car was bought from a dealer locally here who attempted to sell the car, and just like my strategies teach, was stuck with the car. Now, in addition to that, the dealer had not advertised the fact that it had $130,000 in parts on it, partly because they thought a lot of this carbon fiber was OEM, partly because they just didn't know. So either ways, it just didn't matter. I just simply knew where the car came from, so I knew who had originally built the car. I reached out to them, and once I understood what it was, it made it a no-brainer to go after it. Now, once the car arrived here and was bought locally, it made it very easy to enjoy because I understood the service history and the person that had it, and really, it was a worry-free experience entirely, minus just a tire having had low air or that indicator coming on. No issues whatsoever, which is unheard of, right? Once again, using the PPI strategy taught at Exotic Car Hacks, that's how I was able to ensure that. Now, let's talk about the exit. How did the buyer found me? I put the car on eBay for about 3 months before somebody actually reached out to me and made an offer. Someone attempted to buy the car. They completely failed. They couldn't secure financing. The car was back on sale 30 days later. Now, about 60 days after that, someone else came to me locally, had heard about the car being on sale. He was local, it made it easy, and so he came over and was able to go ahead and put a deposit on the car, send the car to inspection, and now we'll be taking delivery of it right after this video. So, how was the overall experience owning an Aventador? Well, it was so good that, as a matter of fact, I bought another one, and you're going to be seeing it in one of my future videos. I bought a new S. Not a brand new one, of course, but a newer Model S, simply because it's just going to be a different experience. But of course, as I always say, here at Exotic Car Hacks, I buy the deals more than I buy the cars, and so it's not the exact car of my preference if I was going to spec one from the ground up, but it is a car that I'm going to enjoy driving for free once more. And so this kind of concludes the epic journey I've had with this car for the last 7 months or so. A little bit under 5,000 miles driven, a total cost of ownership of $1,000, which included a service for $499. Again, how do you get a $2,800 service for $499? Well, you take the course here at Exotic Car Hacks by clicking the link into the description. Now, again, guys, hacking cars is not about flipping cars. One of the things I keep saying in just about every single video I do is a lot of people confuse what we do here at Exotic Car Hacks with you're here to flip a car. You buy a car cheap, you sell it high. It's not the case. Part of the big difference between hacking a car and flipping a car is that when you flip a car, you're buying a car and you're selling it as soon as possible for a profit. The point of Exotic Car Hacks is to buy a car, drive the car, enjoy the car as you would as a normal owner, and by the time you're bored, get rid of the car without actually taking a loss. And if you can turn in a profit despite the additional miles you've put on, great. But as long as you can limit your loss or get out even, then that is what we're trying to ultimately establish in general. But everything from depreciation, cost of insurance, cost of repairs is all accounted for in our hacks, and a great opportunity for normal people who typically thought they couldn't afford an exotic cars to leverage bank power to not only get in these cars when they don't have huge down payments, perfect credit or anything else, but in many cases put themselves in a position to continuously progress from one car to another while not losing money on cars. And this is the essence of what Exotic Car Hacks is. So, moral of the story, how to drive an Aventador Roadster full Novitec for less than $1,000 for 7 months. Well, there you have it, guys. So make sure you subscribe and like the video if you want more details like this on future hacks. And of course, don't forget Black Friday is live now. So if for any reason you haven't yet picked up your membership to Exotic Car Hacks, click the link at the bottom into the description of this video or on this video, wherever you find it, and join our community where you're going to join over 6,000 people now who are literally hacking their exotics and enjoying the rewards of getting in and out of exotics, everything like an R8 to a Mercy, to an Aventador, to a Huracan, to a Ferrari 488, and I can keep going on, and all without losing any money. So click the link, I'll see you inside, and thanks again for watching, and wait till you see some of the cars I have coming up.